Prologue. Elida solidifies her control as Amerlin's seat, confident despite Rand al'Thor's capture. She plans to confront Mazrim Taim and remains assured of victory over Egwene Al'Vir's rebellion. Savannah leads the Shido Aiel, seeking revenge and plotting to capture Rand. Alviarin reports to Missana, revealing Elida's dangerous foretellings and a plot involving Rand. Padron Nile is assassinated by Omerna, but Aemon Valda kills Omerna and seizes power. Gawain fights an Ailman, wins by chance, and orders his younglings to regroup. Though he contemplates the cost of battle, he remains focused on survival and leadership. In Chapter 1, Perrin Abra contemplates the tense situation after a battle, with various factions in uneasy proximity. The Shido prisoners are under guard, while suspicions simmer between Aiel, Carheenan, and Mayners. Perrin struggles with the complex dynamics between the Ashaman, Wise Ones, and Aes Sedai, knowing tensions could lead to conflict. His growing concerns about Rand's decisions weigh heavily on him. Perrin reflects on his responsibilities, missing his simpler life, and talks briefly with Loial, who shares his unease about the volatile camp. Perrin ultimately knows he must confront the challenges ahead despite his reluctance. In Chapter 2, Perrin Ibra grapples with guilt over the recent battles and confronts Kiruna about her defiance of orders. Rand arrives, prompting a tense discussion about Aes Sedai prisoners, leading him to assign the Wise Ones to oversee them, despite Time's insistence on Ashaman control. Rand distrusts the Aes Sedai and agrees to healing only from a chosen sister. He selects Dashiva as his escort, dismissing Time's concerns. Perrin relays his worries about potential unrest among the Two Rivers men. The chapter ends with Rand commanding Dashiva to create a gateway to Cairhien to confront emerging issues. In Chapter 3, a gateway opens near Cairhien, allowing Aiel and Carheenan to prepare for conflict. Rand, dressed simply, leads the group as rumors circulate that many Aiel believe he has abandoned them. Sorelia warns Rand that his return with Aes Sedai could be seen as a betrayal. Faragan, a red-haired Aiel woman, reports that Colavera Saigan claims Rand will confirm her rule, while rival factions gather in the city. Tensions rise as Rand learns of Aes Sedai presence and the potential danger they pose. Perrin is anxious about Fael's safety amid escalating conflict, insisting she must be protected. In Chapter 4, Rand, Perrin, and their group rush to Cairhien, with Perrin worried about Fael's safety. As they ride, Rand is preoccupied with Min, while the landscape reflects the Dark One's influence. Upon arriving in Cairhien, Rand recognizes Colavera's banners and decides to enter the city with a small party to avoid unrest. Inside, they are met by guards who seem fearful. They encounter a group of young nobles, including Camille and Selend, who inform Rand that Fael is in the Grand Hall of the Sun as one of Colavera's attendants. Rand commands Selande to lead the way. In Chapter 5, Rand, Perrin, Min, and the Maidens confront the newly crowned Colavera in the Grand Hall of the Sun. Rand asserts that Elaine Trakand is alive and the rightful heir, challenging Colavera's claim to the throne and accusing her of murder. Aes Sedai Anora arrives, revealing Colavera's treachery and past plots against Rand. Perrin learns that Colavera plotted to kill rivals and attempted to manipulate events in Cairhien. Ultimately, Rand strips Colavera of her titles and exiles her to a small farm, asserting his authority and reshaping the political landscape in the region. In Chapter 6, Rand walks through a crowd with Min, Anora, and Loial, while Perrin and Fael miss their chance to join him. Fael doubts Rand's decision to send Aes Sedai to the Aiel, voicing concerns about Colavera's potential threat. Perrin feels pursued and meets Selanda and her friends, while Fael reveals her role as Colavera's attendant, heightening Perrin's worries. Accusations arise between Fael and Perrin about Baralam, but he reassures her of his love. The chapter closes with a moment of connection between them, despite the surrounding tensions. In Chapter 7, Rand al'Thor grapples with the complexities of Saidin and the precarious nature of trust, especially regarding the Aes Sedai. As he prepares for a journey to Caemlyn, he meets with the Maidens and Ashaman. During a meeting with Bael and Davram Basheri, Rand learns about Colavera Saigan's claim to the Sun Throne and Elaine's need to stabilize his position. They discover Aes Sedai gathering in the new city, raising alarms about potential threats. Amidst growing chaos, Rand decides to send troops forward, knowing that both Andor and Cairhien are on the brink of conflict. In Chapter 8, Egwene Alvear insists on continuing the Aes Sedai's march to Tarvalon, limiting their halt to 1 day despite food shortages. Tensions rise after Loghain's escape, and Egwene confronts Sheriam about 10 sisters departing for the White Tower to expose the Red Ajah's manipulation of Loghain. Egwene worries about Moghedien's potential return and the threat of a Forsaken freeing her. Jessa, unaware of Egwene's concerns, suggests finding Merrigan, who may have fled. Egwene decides to summon Siuan and Lenys secretly, knowing the gravity of the situation demands careful planning amidst the chaos. In Chapter 9, Egwene grapples with her leadership role as Siuan and Len inform her that Moghedien has escaped, possibly freed by a man who can channel. She instructs them to gather intelligence on the situation. Marana reports positive news from Rand in Kemlin, but Egwene remains skeptical about Rand's safety and his interactions with Aes Sedai. As she walks with Len, Egwene's frustration grows over the constraints imposed on her as Amyrlin. Later, novice Nicola approaches Egwene, expressing her desire for more opportunity, while Irina implies that Nynaeve and Elaine's past as pretenders to Aes Sedai could cause trouble. Egwene asserts their status, emphasizing respect for their titles. In Chapter 10, Egwene returns to her tent, where her maid Salami warns her of potential danger. In the world of dreams, she seeks guidance from Nynaeve, Elaine, and Amys, realizing that Moghedien is a significant threat. Egwene shares her new position as Amyrlin with the Wise Ones, seeking their support and expressing her concerns about Aes Sedai influence over Rand. They discuss the potential danger of male dreamwalkers. Egwene reflects on her dreams about Gawain, indicating choices that could affect their futures, while also grappling with the complexities of her role and the Aes Sedai. In Chapter 11, Egwene is awakened by her maid Mary in a busy camp. She meets Aes Sidi Theodrin and Faulin, who express loyalty to her and reject support from rival factions. Egwene burns a note from Siuan about tensions among the Aes Sedai and is interrupted by Morel, whom she confronts. Lord Brian approaches, revealing his patrol found something important, prompting Egwene to ride with him and Morel. As they leave the camp, Brian discusses the siege of Tarvalon and the challenges they might face. Morel voices skepticism about a prolonged siege. In Chapter 12, Egwene, Brian, Morel, and Siuan journey through drought-stricken lands and encounter riders from the Band of the Red Hand. Morel worries about Brian's communication with Talmanes, fearing treason. They witness the aftermath of banditry, prompting Egwene to devise a strategy to distinguish her forces. Rumors about Rand's swearing fealty to Elaida circulate, which Egwene dismisses. At camp, Siuan orders Morel to send Lan to protect Nynaeve. Egwene demands that Morel and Nisau swear fealty to her while she grapples with challenges posed by Romanda and Lelaine regarding the Black Ajah, realizing she must take charge. In Chapter 13, Avienda confronts her fear of water aboard a boat with Elaine, Nynaeve, and Birgitte, focusing on her luxurious attire. They discuss their mission and Mat Cawthon's potential involvement, with Elaine advocating for him and Nynaeve resisting. Upon reaching a large seafolk ship, Nynaeve loses her composure, demanding passage. They are greeted by Malin Dintoral, the Wave Mistress, and Nesta Dinrees, the Mistress of the Ships, who scrutinizes them. Elaine states they seek the Bowl of the Winds to remedy stormy weather, leading to excitement among the seafolk, especially as they confirm the bowl is in Abudar. In Chapter 14, Mat enjoys the excitement of the Silver Circuit horse races in Abudar, betting heavily on the Horsewind. His companion, Nalessian, expresses doubts, but Mat is confident. He learns from Julin that Elaine and Nynaeve are missing, prompting Mat to feel protective of them. During the race, Mat encounters a sharp-faced woman who previously attacked him. He instinctively defends himself with a dagger, but is shaken. After Wind wins, Mat decides to follow the woman, suspecting her involvement in a larger danger. He discovers she entered the Shelsame Palace, rented by White Cloak Inquisitor Jaichim Caridin. In Chapter 15, Jaichim Caridin, writing a report, is interrupted by Lady Shine, who claims to have progressed to report. Caridin, fearful of failure, demands results regarding their search for a powerful artifact while revealing his contempt for the chaotic conditions outside. He recognizes the potential threat of Aes Sedai in the city, and worries about his own position under the chosen Samael. When Samael appears, he emphasizes the urgency of finding the artifacts over Mat Cawthon's fate. Caridin then threatens Shane to ensure her compliance, asserting dominance and reminding her of the consequences of disobedience. In Chapter 16, Matt Cawthon enters the Terrason Palace to deliver a message to Nynaeve and Elaine, escorted by Hazel. He meets Aes Sedai, Jolene, and Teslin, who warn him about dangers facing his friends. Defending them, he is then taken to see Queen Tywin. While writing a letter to Nynaeve and Elaine, he realizes the significance of his signet ring. Tywin approaches him intimately, discussing his reputation and role in Ebudar. Their conversation is interrupted by her son, Beslin, who mentions a duel. Tywin insists Matt and Beslin attend upcoming festivals together, sealing Matt's fate in palace politics. In Chapter 17, Matt escapes the chaos of the palace after a tense encounter with Tywin and Beslin, seeking refuge at the Wandering Woman with his men. He learns of ominous fog and dark friend rumors. After confronting and killing 2 intruders in his hallway, Matt reflects on the dangerous situation he and the women face. He discovers a note warning him about Elaine and Nynaeve's peril from the tower. Meanwhile, Teslin and Jolene discuss their plans regarding Elaine and Nynaeve's return to the tower, contemplating the implications of their choices in the ongoing power struggles. In Chapter 18, Rand al'Thor meets with clan chiefs and Morana, asserting control over Aes Sedai, while the chiefs voice their skepticism about Aes Sedai motives and the looming threat of the Shido. After the meeting, Berylinn confronts Rand about returning to Maine, stressing her role with the Sea Folk. Katswani Maladrin enters, causing chaos and tension as Rand tries to assert his authority. She reveals her knowledge of his struggles and the madness associated with channeling. Rand, feeling cornered, demands she leave. Alone afterward, he grapples with his sanity and the weight of leadership as Idrian Tarson arrives, distressed. In Chapter 19, Morana and Anora follow Katswani through the palace, concerned about her reputation. They enter a room with Bera and Karuna, where Katswani interrogates them about their ties to Rand al'Thor, implying that their involvement may bring trouble. Katswani expresses disdain for their disobedience and demands details about recent events, including rumors of the Forsaken and the kidnapping of Rand. Meanwhile, Min rushes to Rand's quarters, finding him in despair after the death of Herod Fell, feeling guilty for the deaths surrounding him. Min comforts Rand, leading to a passionate encounter between them. Katswani observes the Isle Wilders and plots to influence Rand. In Chapter 20, Savannah and a group of women meet in a clearing to strategize after a recent battle, fearing the return of Rand al'Thor. Savannah reveals a terangrial cube intended to summon a wetlander named Katar. When Katar arrives with Aes Sedai Mejia, Savannah demands to learn how to control Rand, but Katar insists she must capture him first. They discuss the potential of traveling boxes to access richer lands. Meanwhile, a watcher eavesdrops, intrigued by the power struggles. Tensions rise as Grandal and Samael navigate their own agendas, revealing conflicting interests and ambitions in their schemes. In Chapter 21, the festivities of Swoven Night unfold in Ebudar, where Matt reflects on recent robbery attempts and discovers a dead beggar. He encounters Birgitte in his room, who reveals she has been bonded to Elaine and hints at Matt's secret regarding the Horn of Valere. Meanwhile, Nynaeve grows restless, waiting for news from Matt. In another scene, Aviendha questions why Jaichim Caridin, a potential Shadowrunner, is still free, while Nynaeve expresses concern about Caridin's influence on Tywin. Elaine suggests they disguise themselves to investigate, leading to a heated discussion about their debts to Matt. In Chapter 22, Elaine and Nynaeve confront Matt Cawthon at the inn, seeking his guidance to find the Bowl of the Winds. Although initially dismissive due to a hangover, Matt reluctantly agrees to help after Elaine insists on the importance of his support and promises to move to the palace. The conversation turns tense, revealing Matt's frustration with their expectations. They encounter Satalia Anand, the innkeeper, who questions their claims of being Aes Sedai. She warns them about the dangers they face and suggests they seek help from others. Nynaeve decides to trust her, leading to both women removing their rings, leaving Elaine feeling conflicted. In Chapter 23, Nynaeve and Elaine are guided through Ebudar by Mistress Anan, who comments on their quest to find the Circle of Channelers, suggesting they are frivolous. Arriving at a modest house, Nynaeve senses another channeler, Rayane, who demonstrates surprising strength. Tension arises as Rayane questions their presence. 2 more channelers, Garania and Barrowin, enter, leading Nynaeve and Elaine to feel hopeful about their mission. However, Rayane and the others remain suspicious of their intentions, insisting they are not Aes Sedai and questioning them about their knowledge of the White Tower, leaving Nynaeve and Elaine feeling constrained. In Chapter 24, Rianne and her group grapple with the implications of two mysterious girls who claim to have knowledge of Ae's Sedai channeling. As they discuss the rumors and potential threats posed by the girls and their connection to Satala Ananas, Rianne reveals that a kinswoman named Callie has been murdered, allegedly by the One Power. Meanwhile, Nynaeve and Elaine, frustrated by their encounter with the kin, suspect they know the location of the bowl. After a violent attack leaves Elaine unconscious, Nynaeve uses her abilities to heal her, while their plans to confront the kin grow more urgent. In Chapter 25, Moghedien is trapped in a dream where she relives her captivity. She is visited by Halima, who channels Sidon and reveals herself as Arangar summoning Moghedien to the Pit of Doom. There, a Myrddraal, Shaidarharan, forces her to crawl through a treacherous tunnel. Upon arrival, the Great Lord confronts her about her failures. Despite her pleas for mercy, she is subjected to a mind trap, which she desperately fights against. After being awakened from the dream, she finds herself in a prison cell where she meets Moradin, who informs her that her status among the Chosen has changed. In Chapter 26, Morgasi Trakan confronts her memories and the chaos surrounding her as alarm bells signal an attack. Captured by the Seanchan, she meets High Lady Suroth, who reveals plans for domination and captures. Horrified, Morgasi learns a servant is actually Amathera, the former Panarch of Terabon. In a moment of resolve, Morgasi renounces her claim to the throne, submitting to her daughter Elaine. After a tense exchange with her companions, she learns of a plan to escape Amador orchestrated by Sebin Balver. Morgasi and her group manage to leave, beginning a new, uncertain journey. In Chapter 27, Perrin Ibera departs his rooms in the palace, reflecting on his relationship with Fael. He senses fear among the palace servants and recalls a tense confrontation with Rand, who commands him to leave Carrion. After meeting Loyal, Perrin heads to the stables, where he finds Fael and a group of women she has taken under her wing. They prepare to leave, joined by a contingent of Two Rivers men and Aes Sedai. Perrin addresses the group, informing them they are in Galden and must gain the Queen's trust before pursuing a mysterious figure known as the Prophet. In Chapter 28, Matt Cawthon reflects on his troubles in the Terrasen Palace and regrets his curiosity about the Aes Sedai. After Elaine and Nynaeve leave, Matt prepares his men, but they are uninterested. Queen Tylan makes advances toward him, which he nervously fends off until Tom and Julin arrive. Concerned for Elaine and Nynaeve's safety, he tries to gather information about Yaichim Caridin, who has purchased a palace plan. Matt struggles to navigate palace life, dealing with Tylan and the kitchens, while trying to keep Ulver safe and manage the mysterious tasks related to the Rahad. In Chapter 29, Matt wakes grumpy, distracted by mysterious dice, and attends the Festival of Birds with Ulver, who eagerly runs off with a masked woman. Tylan confronts Matt with a dagger, leading to an intense encounter that ends with them in bed together. Struggling with his feelings afterward, Matt joins Nalisian and Birgitta at the festival. Chaos erupts when they are attacked by armed beggars. Matt fights back, realizing his status as Ta'veren attracts trouble. After a brief exchange with Beslin, Matt leaves to clear his head, unaware of the chaos his actions may cause in Abu Dar. In Chapter 30, Elaine faces 5 Aes Sedai who reprimand her for disclosing the secret of the Bowl of the Winds. Merilil suggests punishment, but Elaine asserts her authority and reveals the bowl's location. A letter arrives from Yaichim Caridin, falsely claiming Elaine's mother is alive, prompting Elaine to channel her anger. The Aes Sedai ultimately acknowledge her authority, leading to a discussion about the kin, a secret group linked to them. Meanwhile, Moghedien, feeling pressured by Moradin's presence, attempts to attack a target on the river, but inadvertently destroys a boat instead, triggering her panic as she escapes. In Chapter 31, Nynaeve boards a boat, but is troubled by a looming storm and her feelings for Lan. The boat capsizes, trapping her underwater, but she escapes using the One Power just before drowning. Lan rescues her and offers to be her warder temporarily. Nynaeve declares their betrothal and intends to confront Morel. They discuss Moghedien's involvement in the storm. Meanwhile, Elaine, accompanied by Birgitta and others, confronts Rianne and her group, who are revealed to have been hiding from the Aes Sedai. Elaine offers them the chance to return to the tower, while Matt arrives with news of the Bowl of the Wind's location. In Chapter 32, Carl observes Elida presiding over a tense hall of the tower, where she announces the birching of Ramanda. Egwene pleads for mercy, but Elida chooses to punish others as examples. Afterward, Elaida receives alarming news of Rand al'Thor's escape and a significant loss of Aes Sedai. Alviarin manipulates Elaida, prompting suspicion of treason within the tower. Elaida charges Siain to investigate possible traitors, including Alviarin herself. Siain, realizing the gravity of the situation, seeks out her friend Pavara for assistance, believing the existence of the Black Aja may be linked to the turmoil. Together, they plan to uncover the truth. In Chapter 33, Rand isolates himself after sending Perrin away, struggling with guilt and nightmares about those who died because of him. Min visits, urging him to accept their bond. Despite Rand's reluctance, Min insists she loves him and will not leave. She confronts him about his feelings for Elaine and Avienda, emphasizing that love can come from multiple sources. After discussing his responsibilities regarding the Sea Folk, Rand resolves to meet them, understanding they could be allies or enemies. The chapter concludes with Rand preparing to visit the Sea Folk, with Min and the maidens assisting him in a rather chaotic manner. In Chapter 34, Rand prepares to leave the Sun Palace with Ashaman and Aes Sedai, receiving cheers from the crowd. He names Marana as the Aes Sedai spokesperson and announces his intentions to the group as they approach a Sea Folk ship, the White Spray. Introducing himself as the Dragon Reborn, he meets Wave Mistress Hareen, who acknowledges her duty to the Jendai prophecy. Rand asserts the Sea Folk will serve him and outlines his requirements for ships and information about the Seanchan, who pose a threat. Tensions rise, but Rand's resolve strengthens as he embraces his identity and leadership. In Chapter 35, Min observes Rand as he prepares to leave and expresses concern about his solo plan, but he insists on going with her. They step through a gateway into a forest where they meet Lady Caroline Damodred, who threatens Rand with a crossbow. High Lord Darlin Cisnera arrives with armed riders, discussing Rand's influence in Carian and potential threats. As tensions rise, Rand and Min join the Carrinan camp. Min feels unease about the presence of Aes Sedai, particularly Katswan, who seems to know about Rand. Amid rising conflicts, Caroline warns Rand to be cautious of the dangerous atmosphere surrounding them. In Chapter 36, Rand prepares for a duel with Toram despite warnings from Caroline and Min about Toram's potential aggression. Their duel is interrupted by thick fog, chaos, and the abduction of a Red Sister by a misty creature. Padan Fain attacks Rand, revealing a troubling infection under a scar. Katswani and Aes Sedai attempt to heal him, but sense something dark in the wound. As they rush to find a wagon to the Sun Palace, chaos unfolds, with Min determined to keep Rand safe. A farmer reluctantly agrees to take them. Once at the palace, Ashaman arrive to assist, but tensions rise as the sisters express concern for Rand's condition. In Chapter 37, strong winds cool Ebudar the day after the Festival of Birds. Mat, anxious about Queen Tylin, navigates the Terrasen Palace, surrounded by women preparing to leave for the Rahad. Elaine and her companions discuss the skepticism of the Aes Sedai regarding their claims about age. Mat insists on joining the expedition to retrieve the Bowl of the Winds, fearing Tylin's advances if he stays behind. Nynaeve arrives with news of her marriage to Lan and the deaths of Mat's men at the hands of Moghedien. As tensions rise, Mat discovers a note from Tylin hinting at her plans for him. In Chapter 38, Mat Cawthon, Nynaeve, and Elaine navigate Ebudar, preparing to board a boat. Mat confronts Nynaeve about secrets and learns about red flowers. They head to the Rahad, where two Aes Sedai, Phalion, and Ispan arrive with dark friends to capture Nynaeve, resulting in a violent confrontation. Mat rushes upstairs to find Elaine attacked and fights off her assailant. Meanwhile, Nynaeve helps a wise woman, Sumiko, who is healing another, and Elaine discovers the Bowl of the Winds. Mat insists they leave immediately, leading to a hurried exit with their dead being carried to the boat landing. In Chapter 39, Mat Cawthon insists on leaving Terrasen Palace due to a golem targeting channelers, and he learns that the Black Aja is also involved. He gains Renail's support for their escape. Mat feels manipulated by the women around him and experiences a moment of vulnerability with Tylin. As he searches for Olver amid city chaos, he witnesses Seanchan soldiers attacking with devastating force. Despite the danger, Mat remains determined to find Olver. The chapter culminates in a destructive explosion, knocking Mat to the ground as he realizes his luck has run out and he must escape the collapsing surroundings. In Chapter 40, Galena Casbin, bound and bruised, struggles against her captors, reflecting on her past as a leader of the Red Aja and her ties to the Black Aja. She hopes for rescue from the White Tower while being punished by Isle Wise Ones. Presented to Savannah, she learns she has been labeled Datsang. Meanwhile, Kadar reveals he possesses a mysterious oath rod that could control Galena and mentions the imminent arrival of clans seeking to capture or kill them. As tensions rise, the Moshane Shido prepare for confrontation, with Merrick leading them into battle against approaching forces. In Chapter 41, Rand wakes in the Sun Palace, recovering from Padanfane's dagger thanks to Min. He learns of Samael's attack on Ilion and decides to confront him. Rand and Bashiri prepare the Saldean forces, and Rand uses a gateway to Ilion, declaring himself the Dragon Reborn. After a skirmish, he follows Samael into Shadar Logoth, where he battles Trollocs and Myrddraal. Upon defeating Samael, Rand is offered the laurel crown of Ilion by Lord Gregorin and is declared king. The chapter concludes with tales of Rand's conquest spreading, heralding him as the king of the world.